Okay, back working on this Amiga 2000. Still waiting for some parts, but figured I'd record another video with some small updates. So, first thing, let's talk about the hard drive. So, I got a new board. This is the SCSI 2SD version 5.1. Focus, please. This one will take power from the at the 4-pin port here, and will boot up the machine no problem. If you recall from the previous video, I had an earlier version of that board, and it suffered from a problem where it didn't start up fast enough, so it wasn't recognized at boot time, and so the initial boot would fail. Now, this board, I'm going to have to figure out how to mount it. So, I bought it with this 25-pin connector attached to it. This was an optional add-on. And my original thought with this was that I could take this and put it in a hanging bracket and mount it like this. And have it mounted there. However, what I found out, number one, is this 25-pin connector that they soldered on here, focus please, does not have removable screws on it. So I can't take these screws out and mount it in the bracket in order to hang it there. The other thing is that the other thing is the clearance issue. I was hoping that it would be able to clear some of the slots, but it's just very, very tight in there, uncomfortably so. So maybe I could do it with another motherboard where there's maybe not as many things underneath there, but it's just it's not going to happen, both because of this connector and because of a clearance issue there. So good idea trying to put it in a bracket like this, but ultimately failure. So looking for a good bracket so I can mount this in the 5 1/4 inch bay, and I may even have to buy or desolder this. I'm still not quite sure how I want to go about that. I hate desoldering, but either buy another one of these without this connector or just desolder this one from here. I'm not sure which I want to do. I probably have use for another one of these, so I may just buy an external shell for this one and get another one for this unit with a bracket that I can mount in there. So the other item, a nice lithium battery in there. I highly recommend these boards. It works great. Put a link down to where I got it from. So the third and the last thing, which is probably going to take the most time describing, is the floppy situation. So if you will remember from my last video, I got both of my floppy drives, internal floppy drives, working. So I'm going to put both of these drives in this machine, and I had this hooked up prior to putting this video, put a cleaner on all of them, so I think we should be really good to go. In order to accomplish this, I had to do a couple of different things. The first is there's a jumper here. This is J301. On my machine, this was not shorted, so I had to short that jumper. What that does is that enables the drive select signals. It doesn't enable them, but it enables the Amiga to read those drive select signals coming from the floppy drives to determine whether something is DF0 or DF1. The other thing that I have, and I'm fortunate that I still have this is the original cable, and as you notice, there's a twist in here that's also required. This is the this twist here is at a different pin location than the PC cables. I don't have one of those comparative to show you, so you just have to trust me that these two wires are flipped differently. But so I did that, and I hooked everything up. I thought it would work, but I was missing one piece. So if I look on this drive here, and I believe this drive is what shipped with all Amiga 2000s, the Chinon FB354. There's a block of jumpers here that determine which drive this is going to be. So this one right here is set up for DF0. If I were to move that jumper, which I realize is probably hard to see, one space to the left, that would be DF1, and there's a setting for DF3 and DF4, although you wouldn't have those on the internal side. I don't think you can put that many inside of an Amiga. But so once I set those jumpers right, and I'll post my reference here in the bottom for that, things booted right up immediately. I saw both of the internal drives. Now, you'll also notice over here I've got two external drives. One of the things I've always wanted to do, for no particular reason really, although it probably has deep roots in my childhood, is I've wanted to connect 4, which is the maximum, floppy drives up to an Amiga. I think I've wanted to do this because I used to play games on this, and people that know this know if you only have floppy drives and you only have one, certain games require you to swap a lot. So I think something like It Came from the Desert came on 3 different floppy disks. So you have to swap and swap and swap. So having 4 drives means that I no longer have to swap floppy disks. Of course, this is useless now in the days of WHD load and things like that, but still, it's something that I'd like to do. So I have right here an A1010. This I've had for a long time. This is the original Commodore external floppy drive for the Amiga. It was shipped with or shipped alongside at the same time as the Amiga 1000, and you notice the styling cues match. Then on top of this is a newer eBay purchase. This is an Amiga 1011, which is similar kind of drive, similar mechanism, but smaller case, and designed to fit the styling cues of the Amiga 500. So this A1011 does not have an external pass-through port. However, the A1010 does. So, in theory, I can hook this up to the Amiga, and then the second drive up to this, and I should be able to have 2 external drives, 4 total with my 2 internal ones. However, I did that and it didn't work. So, what I found out is that, according to the original manual, the pass-through port on the back of this unit does not supply power. If you have a drive that you want to daisy chain to this, that drive must supply its own power. This unit gets power from the Amiga itself. Now, that seems silly because there's no place to put a power adapter on this drive. What I think originally was the case was this was sold at the same time as another drive called the A1020. This was a 5 1/4 inch floppy drive. I don't have one, but in styling cues it looks a lot like this Commodore 1571. This one goes to a Commodore 128 or 64. Looks very similar to that. That did have an external power supply, so you could daisy chain them. I think that was a common arrangement with the transformer software that they used to sell with the Amiga 1000, a kind of PC emulator. The idea is you'd have this as an external drive, and then that 5 1/4 inch A1020 drive attached to that for your PC compatibility needs. That had a power supply, therefore this didn't need to supply power. That being said, I've read a lot of forum posts on the internet where people have gotten this kind of setup to work. So, I don't know. Maybe there were different submodels of this. It's something that I probably will investigate in a later video, because I do want to open this A1020 up, clean it, maybe do a disassembly video or something like that on it. But that'll be a future project. Anyhow, that's it for now. So like I say, my main thing that I'm waiting on right now is a better bracket for this guy. And then we should be able to put everything all together and call this complete.